Don't worry. I don't have Leroy on the server. But yeah, let's explain the Shaman thing. So, if you look at like every single class in the game, they have like some kind of curve, you know. They have some cards that are better than others. There's always going to be some cards that are better than others. Like for Druid, for example, you have like Innervate. Let's use a number system on this, right? So, Innervate is like a 7, Wild Growth is like a 5, and then Savage Roar is like a 5 or 6. And Swipe is like a 5 or 6, and then like Healing Touch is like a 2, you know. Like some of the cards are just better than others, and it's like this with every single class in the game, right? And so if you look at most of the classes, they have a pretty like wide spread of cards that are good. Like in Druid, you have Innervate, which is like a 7, it's incredibly broken, but I don't think they should nerf it. And then we have Wild Growth, which is also very, very, very good. It's like a 5 or 6. Savage Roar is like a 5 or 6. Swipe is like a 5 or 6, maybe even more. Force of Nature is like a 3 or something, but in combination with Savage Roar, it's obviously good. Lore is like a 7 or 8. Incredibly good card. Scenarios is like a 5 or 6. Same with War, etc. And Druid is like the class with the best cards in the game, so a lot of these cards are like 5 and 7s. And Keeper is like an 8 or 9. And then same thing with Mage. Mage is like Mana Worm, which is like the same as Innervate power level. It's a bit less than Innervate. It's not as strong as Innervate. I wouldn't put it on the same one, but it's like basically 7+ if you do it from this mana system. And then Sorcerer's Apprentice like 5 or 6. Chugger is 5 and 6. Flame Cannon's 5 and 6 or something. All of these are pretty bad. Mage spells are generally better, so like stuff like Fireball is like a 7 or 8. Like all the mage spells are basically crazy. Most of them, like Polymorph is insane, Fireball is insane, Flame Strike's insane, etc. And then I'm just gonna do a few classes, and then we have like Hunter. You have Hunter's Mark, insane. Tracking's insane. Web Spinner is really good. Bow is really good. Animal Companion's really good. A lot of the cards are just really, really, really good. And Hunter is like the opposite of Mage. All their minions, all the minions that Hunter has, because the hero power is so focused around just dealing face damage, all the minions that Hunter has are better stat-wise. Like this card is, it's like, it summons a 4/4 with Taunt, which should cost 4 mana, so you're skipping a whole mana when you play this, right? Which is because because it's random, you skip a half a mana, but because it's Hunter, the minions are better, so they're always half a mana better. So you're skipping a whole mana instead of half a mana with the random effect. And this goes for everything, like Houndmaster, Savannah Highmane. Mages are good at spells, they have a lot of good spells that are cheaper because it's Mage, etc. And then, you know, this goes for every single class. I'm not going to do any more examples, only these 3. And then if you look at Shaman, right? If we don't include the expansion cards, we have Rockbiter, which is like a 4 or 5. It's pretty okay-ish. Then we have Flame Tongue, which is situational, so it's also like a 4 or 5. Feral Spirits is like 4 or 5, maybe even worse. Hex is like 4 or 5, you know, maybe a bit better. Lava Burst is like really shit. The cards I'm missing. Like Fire Elemental, I don't have it in this list. Fire Elemental is like really incredibly good. It's the only good card for Shaman. Like all the other cards are just really bad, right? Like all the cards are bad. There's very, very few good Shaman cards. But then if you look at Doomhammer and Fire Elemental, like Doomhammer is insanely overpowered compared to what the other Shaman cards are, right? So, and what this means is that every single good Shaman deck in this game is either going to be running Doomhammer or Fire Elemental. There's no good Shaman deck with a current card pool ever that is not going to run, or from standard, that is not going to run Doomhammer or Fire Elemental. Like there's never going to exist one of these decks, because these are the only cards that could compare with the other cards from other classes. Like, It's the only Doomhammer, and Fire Elemental is the only card that is a 6 or a 7. All the other cards are just garbage. And that's a huge problem for Shaman in general from the class, or just looking at the standard set. Because Doomhammer is really overpowered, right? So this card is going to be incredibly hard to balance in the future because it's the only good Shaman card from standard, except for Fire Elemental. And it's also an aggro card. So all the aggro cards that they print, they're going to have to look at Doomhammer, if it synergizes with Doomhammer. And they can never really make something like a Trog again for Shaman because aggro Shaman is too strong. Like, the card very much like breaks everything they try and do with Shaman in the future. Let's see what you guys said here. Please. Teaching type basic. Oh yeah, what about Totem Golem? Yeah, Totem Golem is from the... I'm talking standard mostly. Totem Golem is from an expansion. But basically the only good card Shaman has is Doomhammer. Fire Elemental is really good. But if you look at the other cards that Shaman has, it doesn't really fit the playstyle. Like, the playstyle looks very aggressive if you look at all the burns Shaman has, right? So Doomhammer is the only good card in Shaman, which means that... And here comes the problem with this. It means that when you're running a Shaman deck that runs Doomhammer, the only good card in your deck is Doomhammer. All the other cards are just there to support Doomhammer. So if you don't draw Doomhammer, your deck is really, really fucking bad. Which is not a concept that I like. It's the same thing with Reno Lux, right? If they don't draw Reno, their deck is bad. But if they draw Reno, their deck is overpowered. Which is a mechanic that I hate in the game because it makes very inconsistent... Like, it makes another inconsistency in draw, and it also makes another inconsistency in game. So, if I'm playing aggro Shaman, for example, or you have Tunnel Trog now as well, so Tunnel Trog and Doomhammer, it's like the reason it makes it consistent, right? Because you have both of those cards, and both of these cards are like 7 or 8, like this card is crazy. But if you don't draw these cards, your deck is bad, because all the other cards aren't balanced right, like they're too bad, you know? Which is a huge problem for Shaman, which is why I don't like, aggro Shaman that much, because it's only Doomhammer. The deck has nothing else that is good. It relies solely on Doomhammer and getting Doomhammer. So if Doomhammer is in your bottom 15, you lose. There's no other, it's just, like, it doesn't win without Doomhammer. I've never seen a game with Shaman that it wins without Doomhammer. Maybe one or something. But if you look at all the other classes in the game, they have a very well-rounded curve, which means that the cards that they draw are good. Like, they're not relying on drawing specific cards. Like, Xzirez doesn't need to draw Innervate every single game, because they have Wellgrowth, or Darnassus, or Savage or a lot of, like, good cards. Mage doesn't need to draw Mana Worm every turn, because it has a lot of other good cards. But with Shaman, the only good card is Doomhammer, and Doomhammer is crazy. So if you don't draw Doomhammer, then your deck is just shit, It doesn't, like... A deck shouldn't work like this. The curve should be more balanced, and the cards should be more balanced in the deck. But yeah, that's basically how Shaman or Doomhammer works, and it goes for a lot of classes in this game. A lot of classes, like after Nax, has some cards that peak so, like, crazy hard above the curve that they just don't, like, the decks are just bad if they don't draw them, like with Warrior. If Warrior doesn't draw Deathspite a lot of times, it just loses, because Deathspite is costed at 4 and it should be costed at 5. Like, when you play Deathspite, you gain a mana. Like, it's fucking, the card is crazy. But if you don't draw Deathspite, you don't gain the mana, so your deck is worse, But if you draw it, then you will always win against, like, a mid-range aggro deck, because the card is fucking, like, 1 mana below what it should be. But it's not as bad in Warrior, because it has more good cards. But when you look at Shaman, like I said, it only has Doomhammer. It's the only good card in the deck. Like, nothing else is good. You solely rely on drawing Doomhammer, and that's it. Like, what the fuck, it shouldn't exist like this. The game shouldn't function this way at all. And there's a lot of classes that function this way currently, which is why I don't think the game is consistent. And why I like laugh at everyone that just plays it competitively, or thinks it's competitively. A lot of people just play it for money, but... Because if you look at shit like Secret Paladin, you know, it's, the amount of cards that they need to win a lot of times is just insane. That's also a reason why Rogue is banned, because Rogue has a lot of good cards, but a lot of them, for a lot of these cards to work, you need to draw Prep. So Prep kind of does the same thing as the Shaman deck did. It becomes sort of your only good card, and then you're relying on drawing Prep. And then if you don't draw Prep, your deck is like 2 mana below what it should be. But if you draw Prep, your deck is like 2 mana above. It's like a random RNG effect inherent in the draws that shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be here, but because Blizzard hasn't balanced the game properly, it is, which sucks. But it's very interesting to look at stuff like this, because I don't think people realize this at all when they play the game. Like, I don't think they actually look at the cards and see how much they cost, or how much they should cost. Like, you might know what a card should cost, but have you ever like actually looked at them and been like, oh, this card is overpowered, you know? I don't think most people do. But it's very interesting with Shaman, because the only, like I said, the only good cards are those. The other cards are just crap. Like, when a card like Neptudon could see play in mid-range Shaman, it kind of tells you something about the deck. Because it's not a good card. It also tells you something about the draw effect, which I'm not going to go too much into now. But yeah, basically, what I'm describing is sort of power creep in a way. It's just that it's not... Like, it's power creep, but it's an inherent power creep that they've already created in the start of the game. It's a power creep between cards. It's more like the power level of cards. Just not being balanced. This is also the reason why I think they should make a core set instead of just making like standard and basic be the new sets. I think they should make a core set where they include stuff like Dark Bomb for Sue or Golem for Shaman. Just minions that kind of are very basic and tell you something about the deck. Just to try and like balance the power level of some cards, because Druid, for example, has, you know, way better power level in standard than Shaman, and Mage has way better power level, Hunter is way better, Warrior has pretty good power level, and then some of these classes kind of get shafted, like these two, or these three, I mean. But yeah. But this is also what is like creating a huge problem in the game, because a lot of the next card, like I was gonna talk about, are way better than the other cards in the game. And if you look at your stats, I did this a while ago, I don't know if it's like this still, but when I drew more Nax cards than my opponent, I won more. Because the cards are unbalanced. Like, a lot of these cards should be, and this is also a problem in Hearthstone, you don't have any way of having like a card can't cost 2.5 mana, all of them have to cost 2 or 3 mana. And this kind of creates a problem with the way they made the game, because some of the cards in the game, they either have to round the card upwards or downwards. Like with Paladin Shredder. Paladin Shredder is a card that costs 4.75, I think, mana. And then they have to kind of decide if they want to round it upwards to 5 mana and make it bad, or round it downwards to 4 mana and make it really overpowered. And then there's no real middle ground a lot of times. I mean, there is, but sometimes the Blizzard developers just don't see them, I guess. Yeah, a lot of the nice cards, like I said, are they're a lot stronger than the other cards in the game. They have like an inherent 1+ mana or 1.25 or something, you know, mana better than a lot of the standard cards in the game, which is really bad, like I said, because you have to include 30 cards in your deck, and not all of them can be good next cards. So it means that if you draw the good next cards, you win more, like I said, because they're more worth than the other cards in your deck, which kind of sucks. I mean, not cards like these, obviously, like these are shit, but cards like these are insane. Like, holy fucking shit, these cards are overpowered. Yeah, that's basically it. I think I explained it pretty well now. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to understand, I feel like. But, what I'm describing is, like I said, power creep. With Nax, it's power creep. With the standard cards, it's just Blizzard being bad at balancing them from the start. They haven't put enough good cards in some classes compared to others. So it makes an inherent like power creep, sort of. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys understand that? I might upload something like this. Doesn't mean they are bad, it does. Like, look at some of the Paladin cards. So we have Blessing of Might, which is okay. Humility, like why is this card in the game? It's so little value. This card is just bad. This card is actually pretty good, but it's never going to see play. It's 1 mana. This card should heal for more. It should heal for 7 or 8. Same thing with the Healing Touch for Druid. I think they valued healing wrong when they first released the game. This card is good. This card is pretty good. This card is good. This card is bad. Bad. Wait, what happened? Oh. Like, look at these cards. Really bad, really bad, really bad, really bad, really bad. Fucking... This card is really good. Bad, bad, or bad. Good, I guess. Bad. Good. What else? Bad, bad. Bad, bad. This one is an expansion card. Good, or... Not really good, unbalanced, but it's not like a useless card and then good. Like in Paladin, you have about 3 cards that are good. 3 cards. And they're not overpowered, like none of these cards are overpowered. Tyrion is a bit overpowered, but not really. Lay on Hands, it's okay. Aldor is like pretty good as well, almost overpowered. But then if you look at Druid, you have like Innervate, overpowered, overpowered, overpowered. Lore is overpowered, Swipe is overpowered, Druidic Claw is overpowered, Wrath is overpowered, like all of this shit is overpowered, you know? Same thing with Mage, fucking like Mana Worm overpowered, Sorcerer's Apprentice overpowered, Bolt overpowered, Fireball overpowered, Polymorph overpowered, Water Elemental overpowered, Flame Strike overpowered. There's so many overpowered cards here compared to the other classes, or compared to Paladin, I mean. Yeah, 5-6 versus, like 5-6 that heals for 6. I don't know how they value that card, but it's valued so badly, I feel like. I can't count. Yeah, I'm just counting the cards that are currently in the game. It's not too hard, okay. Yeah, Mad Scientist. Oh my god. Like, when they introduced Mad Scientist, when I first saw the card, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think they would actually release it. And I remember I talked to people and I was like, yeah, there's no way they release this card, right? Like, they're just not going to do it. Like, it's going to ruin the game. And he was like, yeah, it's just a joke. Like, they're probably going to nerf it before they release it. And then they released it and I just I face-palmed all the way to the moon. It was just the worst mistake they've ever done. The card is so insanely broken the way it is that it's hard to explain how broken it is. It's like fucking crazy overpowered. And it's so bad for the game, and it's so like, oh, the card just sucks. Holy shit, I'm so glad that card is gone. Oh my god. Healing would be insanely overpowered. I think so as well, but because all the druid or all the healing cards that they introduced are undercosted. Like look at this card, you know, it's so bad. What else? More healing? Holy Light, like what the fuck? 6 for 2? Why? Like you can play a minion that can deal 6 for 1 mana in Leper Gnome. Like a minion, a spell should be... Yeah. Healing should be more worth. Like you're using a card to heal yourself. You could play a minion instead, it should be way more worth. Blah blah blah, what else? There's not any more examples really. Would be shit though? Not really. I mean, they have like a well-balanced card that gives you an advantage with secrets is this card. This card is very good with secrets. I think when people say, oh, mage secrets would be bad without scientists, I think they're not thinking of Kirin Tor Mage at all. Because I think Kirin Tor Mage is actually a good card for secrets to be played. I think Mad Scientist is just like grossly overboard. I think they should make more cards like this one. This one might be a tiny bit underpowered. I don't know, maybe the stat should be switched to something, but if it doesn't fit the mage team, but still. But Scientist is just like if like Kirin Tor Mage is like maybe a 4 or 5. Like on a good day or good meta it might be 6. And then Mad Scientist just like it's like here, over here. I can't even like point to the other side of the screen because it's like fucking, it's like on the other side of the room, you know? So gross. Yeah, fucking Undertaker, Jesus Christ. Holy shit, they fucked up so badly with that expansion. It's insane. Like, okay, so think of the minion this way. You play a 2/2 for 2 mana, then copies your next, or your opponent's next minion. Like, it's not, you know, like that's actually what it does, just in general. Like you can play small minions to counter it, I know that, but like you're getting a 2/2, it cycles your deck, it plays a card from your deck that is going to be a dead draw. You play it for free, and then the next minion your opponent plays gets copied. Like in what universe is this balanced? Like, do I need to go to Mars to find something like this being balanced, or like where? Like I don't understand what they were thinking. It's so gross. Yeah, secrets aren't bad cards on their own. Freezing Trap is a very good card. I don't have it here, but Freezing Trap is a very, very good card in general. Like this was a card that was being played before Scientist, and I think Bear Trap and Snakes are also cards, or at least Bear Trap, that can be played without Scientist. Like, I think if Scientist is gone, you're still gonna see traps. Like they were for sure being played in the past. Like Mage Secrets are also being played, like Ice Block and Ice Barrier, you know? Like they don't need a card like Scientist to make them playable, they need a card like Kirin Tor Mage, maybe. Like this is balanced. Or they just need to make secrets that are more fit. Like none of these secrets are bad, they're just not like in meta. You know, like they're not bad, they're not unplayable, they're just the deck that they fit in just doesn't exist. That's all. And these are being played, and Freezing Trap was being played like a ton. It was played a lot in Hunter. Misdirection was being played a ton. Explosive Trap was being played a ton. Like it's just not, like you don't need a card that breaks the game in order to make secrets viable, you know? Made secrets or not? I mean, Ice Barrier is not worth. Ice Block is for sure worth. Ice Barrier should be 10 or 9. And this is also debatable. It could actually be worth what it is, but yeah. Mars confirmed in a different universe. Yeah. Healing touch I can also be used to the max HP. Yeah, but if you look at warrior, so the Made Secret is getting you 8 armor, right? And look at shield block. Where's shield block? I don't have shield block. Oh my god, I don't have shield block, but yeah. If you look at shield block, restore, like gain 5 armor and draw a card. Drawing a card is worth 1.5 mana, which means that 3 armor, the 3 extra health you get on this should be worth... Oh god, I don't have any cards. The 3 extra health you get on this should be worth like 1.5 mana, which it's not at all. If you look at other healing cards in the game, like healing Holy Light is underpowered and it heals for 6 for 2 mana. This costs 1.5 mana just to get like the 3 HP. It's not worth it at all. Very bad card.